Hey, all you H cuties and survivalists. I'm Mary Kwiatkowski, and I am back with the penultimate episode of season 2 of Fox's reality show, Extracted. Here we are, back again, and we've had a couple episodes throughout this season without anyone going home, and now we know why. Because when they drop in like flies over here on Extracted season 2. And I am joined, as always, by my wonderful host, Chappell. Woo!
Mary, what just happened? What just happened?
Blindside after blindside. What's going on?
Boom, boom, boom. Left here, right there, left here, right there. It's like, oh God, that happened. No, not that person. No, this person. Now that's gonna happen. I have so many thoughts and feelings about the television we just watched, but Extracted might be here for a while, Mary. I think last season we were like, what if they brought it back for season 2? Very quickly we found out they were casting for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Midway through season 2, I'm thinking, we could do this again. I could do this again. Could you do this again?
I mean, I don't even know how long it took into like 3 episodes in, and I was like, it feels like there's something else in the water this season. It feels like people are coming to play.
Yes. And some of the players, Diva's down. Down goes. Oh my God. I mean, we haven't even said the word yet, but we had 2 extractions in this
the
episode.
boys be dropping.
The boys dropping like flies. We still got, oh my God. And I mean, the front runners, the drama. There was so much in this episode. Oh man, I don't even know how to feel. The thing about this show is that it just feels like you are only as good as like the last 10 seconds that you were in the game, right? Because within every minute something could change and just completely upend everything that you were doing. And then production is maniacal as well. I'm in heaven. I like, this is my type of reality TV. It feels like I'm trying to figure out a strategy for how to win this game, but dear God, I don't even know if there is one yet.
I had a very long conversation with my parents the other day at dinner because we were talking about Extracted, and somehow, let's just say, we were not on the same page. We were all under the impression that each one of us would have been the survivalist.
Oh, I thought you were a shoo-in.
That's what I thought. And they were like, but my mom has done so much more like camping and hiking. And my dad was like, oh, well, it was probably gonna be her. And then he's like, yeah, but I think I could easily last the longest. And I'm like, I don't think this is the point.
Fred Daddy, don't piss me off. We have a plan. We have a plan.
So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, season 3. We'll see what happens. So this was wild. This whole episode. We, at the end of last episode, we had actually nobody left at the end of last episode, right? Did we have no extractions? No. The thing I didn't realize about the end of last episode is that RJ was just like, actually, I'm really bummed from having walked all this way to get nothing in this crate, so I'm just gonna sit here. And when they started the episode, they're like, yeah, 4 out of 5 contestants have settled in back at camp. And I'm looking and be like, who's missing? Wait, what do you mean 4 out of 5? And then I thought they were talking about Doug, because Doug like got lost, but no. So everybody came back. Roman's, put his fire making materials by the shore. Everyone else is kind of chilling. Doug feels tired, but other than that, RJ's just sitting out in the field. He walked really far away, and I legitimately thought this was going to be it for RJ here.
He looks like he's quitting in this moment. We even get the clip of Tanisha going and checking, like getting the rules clarification. So like, if we extract him, are y'all at least going to pick him up? Because he doesn't look like he has the hike in him anymore. We know he's injured. So they're like, okay, like, are y'all gonna wait until he gets back to the camp and then extract him? Because if that's the case, then you might as well just leave him out there. Like, he might as well walk back and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I was thinking that they were probably hoping like that if production said like, oh no, he needs to walk back to camp first, that they would say, oh, okay, well then we're gonna just have him walk back to camp, because the issue is that we don't want him to have to walk back just to get extracted.
To get extracted, right?
Right. But yeah, and he sits there and they think about it. He definitely does say like, I think I'm done. You know, I have a, but then he kind of changes his mind. He's like, but I know it's bigger than me, and I've got a lot riding on this. And so he stands up and walks back. And we, you know, for the first time in a while, we get a like pre-season interview with him. Where he talks, we've gotten a little bit a bit of this sprinkled out, but sprinkled throughout, that he says that he had sort of non-typical interests growing up, where he liked country music, he liked Western things, outdoorsy things. He wants to buy a ranch someday, like all of that. I think for him, like being out here is kind of proving that he can do some of the stuff that he's always dreamed of.
Yeah, there's this weird dichotomy of being a Black Texan. You know, listen, I can speak to that.
Chappell, tell us how that is.
I mean, I can't speak to that because I do like my country music, but I'm more urbanized in my interest, right? Because like I'm a city boy who just happens to live in a rural area, whereas he is a country boy who probably lives in a more cityfied area, more urban area, but he like literally just connects more with that stuff. My brother is like that. He's a two-stepper. He likes to go out and he likes to do country two-step all around the place. He's always wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
I have multiple cowboy hats, Mary. Like
one within reach, Chappell.
Always. Look, I have two within reach. Don't play with me, Mary.
I know you're in Texas. I feel like if you don't have a cowboy hat within reach, then you should probably leave Texas.
It's got to be at arm's length. But yeah, we're kind of into that kind of stuff here sometimes. And he's right. It's not like the typical Black experience, but it definitely is a vibe that you get from a lot of Black men or Black boys in Texas, is that like you can go either way, right? Like you can lean into some of the more typical interests, but you also have this very like Texas upbringing, these Southern characteristics about yourself, the outdoorsy parts, the ranch parts, you know, the cowboy boots, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it looks like he really wants to enjoy this moment because he's doing something that he's really enjoying. It hurts, you know? And so for him, no, this was a cool story for RJ. I've been rooting for him all season. You know, the moment you tell me he's from Texas, and like I said, I really I feel like I understand Michaela. like I know this mama. I have one. And so yeah, I totally get it, but I was so concerned about RJ at the beginning of this episode, and now I'm just so proud of him.
Yeah, I've been saying about him for the last several episodes that I feel like he has so much like, oh, now it's Chappell's got another hat. There we go. I like that one. I mean, I like both of them. Yeah, the black hat's nice.
Hats. Yeah, they're good hats.
It's good. Something about the white t-shirt and the black hat like go well together. I don't know.
See,
I like
you
that.
Get it.
Yeah, I've been saying about RJ since the beginning, like he has had so much grit to him and just a willingness to stick it out. He did tell us in our comments from our last video, he does have a blanket. I don't remember when he got the blanket, but he hadn't had it for that long. He's only had it for a couple days as of the previous episode.
He's gonna lose it in this episode.
Yeah, but he certainly has dealt with some of the least amount of supplies for the longest time. And I am rooting for him. It's been a toss-up. I keep like kind of changing my mind. Like there's times when I'm really rooting for Roman as well, because I just feel like that Roman's done a lot of the survivalist stuff. Like I really like that Roman's been catching fish and everything. But yeah, you feel for RJ. Like he's got his hurt leg that he's been dealing with. So he's had it tough out there, but he goes all the way back to camp. And now we contrast that with Doug here, who Doug also not been feeling well, but kind of like in the nicest way. Why? Like he's just tired? Like he didn't like hurt himself, right?
He's tired. You know, I think it was that nighttime hike, I think, is really exhausting him. He hasn't been getting a ton of stuff to eat. I think he's you know, by the end of this, we'll see he's lost a lot of weight. He's very thin.
Oh yeah, he does look a lot smaller.
Yeah, so I think he's starving. I think Doug is really hungry. Doug was very fascinating for me because I like Dougie. And so I was very excited to see how he did, especially with his two sons in there, kind of like, you know, rooting him on, but with him being so critical of the way they're playing the game. He's like, hey, y'all, come and get it together. I need more stuff. But in this episode, the kind of role reversal that they talk about of Dougie being like, I want to quit, and they're like, I don't know, man. You might want to stick it out. Like, Mary, you're an endurance athlete. I'm sure there have been plenty of times where your parents have kind of been like, you're fine. I know you want to quit, but you're fine.
Yeah, I'm sure I mentioned it during season 1 of Extracted, but usually it is this role reversal of my parents telling me like, "Oh, stick it out, you're fine." And it's usually kind of like the I don't know, my mom's a lot more like Ryan H's mom. "Oh, my poor baby, like if you want to quit, feel free to quit."
I
But
got you.
my
Come on.
my dad does not let me quit at all. Only once have I been the one who's like had to encourage my dad to quit something endurance related. And so I understand the feeling of the role reversal of like, especially seeing a parent who has always been like very strong and very physical, being in a situation where you're seeing them like weakened is really a hard thing to do. I mean, I'm sure that's hard for everyone as you get older and you have that like role reversal with your parents. So I feel for Doug's kids here, for Dayton and Alex, but this is interesting. So Doug basically asks to quit and they just don't do it. They're just like, no, he's gonna have to stay in there a little bit more. And you can tell that Doug is like recognizing that they're not taking him out. And he's like, I hope you boys know what you're doing. But he says, you're killing your old man. That broke my heart.
No, that I went the opposite way. When he said that, I was like, you're gonna stick this out, young man, because I think we've all gotten that speech. You're like, I'm dying with the past. Like, your family's like, you're fine. You're being dramatic. You're ready. So when he said it, I was like, oh, that's low down. Because of course, like you said, that's your dad, right? That's Superman. And so for him to be like, you're killing me. You're killing me. Like, this is basically, this is your fault. Like, you see this pain? You see what you're doing to me, kids? Help your dad. Help dear old dad. I was like, it's just low, Dougie. Why would you put that type of guilt on them? You know they want you to succeed. You're not actually dying. By mid episode, he is in the red and severe. And I do think that they've probably been told that once somebody gets in severe, they shouldn't try to really push the issue, because we've never seen it, right? We've never seen somebody get in severe and then they just leave it, like leave them in. Normally when they hit severe, we start talking about the exit, and that literally happened. And then moments later, we saw the end of Dougie.
Right. I'm trying to think if I think potentially in season 1, sometimes people got in severe. I wonder if Ryan H did when he was really cold and then got out of it by warming up or something.
Maybe.
I don't remember, but yeah, and this is tough. Like the way they edit the show here is that the Doug starts asking, crying and wanting to leave, and then that's when the boys go outside, and the other contestants are like, "Wow, this is really hard that we're having to listen to this," and they're just like out there.
You can't mute him, and that's the problem. That is the problem. Because if I could just mute him, I think I'd be fine. I'd be like, he's fine. But it's the extracted people, because the extracted producers, I have so much to say about them. But the moment somebody starts saying, you're killing me, take me out the game, they like turn up the volume so everybody can hear. Like,
I'm sure.
Everybody's looking around all awkward, like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, so now you look like a heartless person for leaving your dad out there writhing in pain and moaning, kid me, come get me. And they're like, and all the rest of the families are glaring at you like, you really just gonna let Dougie out there to die? So when they went outside, I totally understood. It's like, you have to separate yourself from it and think, can he bounce back from this? Sadly, Dougie was checked out mentally. But Mary, I think it was the bear.
Really? You think it was the bear that tipped him off? He just didn't want to be out there anymore?
I think from there you can't sleep anymore. I think that's really, because it looked like the bear snuck up on him while he was asleep. And if he wasn't already getting sleep, and he wasn't eating, he's irritated. But now he's kind of afraid and jittery, and he's not really comfortable with at least resting his eyes. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
I could totally see that. Yeah, I mean, if you're not getting sleep, we see this in other shows. If you're not getting sleep, that weakens you so much, especially mentally. So I could see that potentially being a thing. I know we're not doing exit interviews with everyone this season, but there's definitely some questions I would love to hear. Doug's family, if you're in the chat, let us know how big of a factor was the bear situation to everything. But they have him go through the night, which I do think is interesting, because it is one of those things where sometimes sleeping through the night or just giving a little bit of time to someone who wants to quit maybe makes them turn around, and the next day they're feeling better, feeling more refreshed. So I think that's kind of probably why they do it. But next morning, actually, before we even get to the morning, so it's still night. Now this is interesting. We talked a little bit about this last episode, but let's get into it now. So it's night 20. We know that Roman has put his items into the box, and we had predicted that what was going to happen was basically he's going to put his stuff in the box, and the next day nothing's going to come, and he'll go back onto his box and realize his stuff is still there and realize he's been tricked. And the worst of all of this will have just been that they wasted the video message. Now, what do we think about production notifying everyone in HQ? A family in HQ has been deceived into sending false info to their survivalist. The deception did not come from the game, but from another family in HQ. The survivalist who was told to surrender supplies will be able to retrieve them in the morning. Why do you think that was announced? Because I like our theory of how all of this should have gone down. I think this breaks it a little because I don't know. This you want the family to wonder, "Hey, wait, why didn't we get anything?" And then kind of come to this conclusion on their own. I don't know how I feel about production like calling it out. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings because on the one hand, there's an argument to be made that Luke's family should not have been able to do this in the first place. You know,
But
like
production clearly enabled them to do it.
Right. So they enabled them to do it and then immediately punished them for doing it. And that's why I'm okay with it, because Luke's family should not have been able to. We shouldn't be in this position anyway, right? Like, it was emergent gameplay, as you and I said. It's fancy. It's very outside of the game, right? Like, you made a thing. This has never been. We never knew that this was a part of the rules. But if it's not against the rules, then I guess you go for it, right? So they allow them. They kind of bend the rules and do this thing. They even enable them to do it, right? We speculated that they only come up with a challenge. Yeah. Right. They come up with a challenge where you could either write them a letter or send a video message. They're like, we got to get him this thing. But I think it's the long con. I think it's, oh, you want to play the game the way you want to play it? Okay, cool. What you want? You want a video? You want to send them? You want to talk to them directly? Okay, we'll let you tell them whatever you want. And then immediately we're gonna be like, gotcha. You shouldn't have done that. So in that sense, I do like it. But I also think there's an argument to be made that our version of the events is also fine. You know, let people play an imaginative game, because I think it makes the game more interesting in the future. People are going to use their minds to try to make the game more interesting, and we get more seasons of it. There's only so much we can do in the confines of HQ. And so I like that they were using their brains to try to further their game, you know, right? This is a game for a bunch of money. It's people, you know, their wellness is at stake out there. So I get it. But I do like production being like, you flew too close to the sun and now you're going to get burned for it because we're going to out you. And they could have said it was Luke's family, but they didn't. Right. They still allowed them to kind of play socially, work this into the game. And so I did appreciate that they didn't just like completely out them. But even had they, I would have been okay with it, because again, you created this world where this was a thing that you wanted to do. And now we get to tell you if it's okay or not. And normally things in Extracted are not secret, Mary. Most of the things that happen in Extracted talks about. You know, you go and you break the glass. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Somebody broke the glass, everybody. You know, if you send somebody, if you use a power card or whatever, they announce it. They make them read the letters out loud when they get them. So we know whose box got stolen all the time. I don't think there's any secrets on this show. And I think this kind of solidifies that.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, because I was thinking the same thing of like, when the power cards get played, the way they work is that, you know, everybody else gets to know who had it, who played it, like everything becomes out in the open. Things are only secret until they get played. So I do think that is fair. This was a secret thing. Production did not prevent them from doing it. They did not tip off Roman's team into saying like, hey, no, don't send this message. This is fake. They didn't do that. But they weren't also going to let Luke's team secretly get away with it. So you're right. I do think that this was sort of the happy medium. The only thing that I think is a little weird about it is the fact that it was the timing, really, that they told HQ. I think if they were, I'm trying to think. I think if they were going to do it and keep it sort of fair, they needed to have gone and told HQ and told Roman the second he's putting his fire equipment away. Instead, they're going to let him sleep through the night without the fire equipment. So
right.
I don't know. It's like, because I want them to be able to have the emergent gameplay, but at the same and let this happen. It's like the downside with all of this is Lindsay not being able to, Lindsay and Dallas not being able to talk to Roman the way they wanted to and use that time, the call to do what they wanted. That is the benefit that they get by getting away with this. Why do they also get the benefit of Roman not having fire at night?
This is true. That is true.
Then again, did they tell him that he had to put his fire out?
I don't know. I think they said you have to forfeit your fire and fire making supplies.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure. But I agree with you. I think that Roman shouldn't have to deal with sleeping without fire, or even the I don't think he
maybe they weren't sleeping. Although now that I'm thinking about, I don't know that I've ever actually seen them sleep with fire. So maybe they haven't been sleeping with fire.
I don't think they have either. And I think I saw this in the comments one time. Somebody said that in parts of Canada it's illegal to keep your fire going overnight, and that's why they've been using so many matches.
Maybe this is a moot point then, because I'm only bothered by this if this was a situation.
Yeah, this is probably why they go through so many matches, right? Like we should not be talking about fires with everybody all the time. We see people keep fires going on Survivor for 20 some days, and we see them literally the one or two times they make fire making throughout the entire season, and then they just keep the embers to make more fire, right? There's no way, and these people are not doing a lot of challenges away from camp, like the Survivor players are, right? The Survivor players are away from camp probably a third of the time. These people are not that away from the camp that often. So you would think somebody, especially if they're not sleeping, will be able to maintain a fire overnight. So I do think that might be something that we just haven't talked about on the show, or they haven't made clear. But I think now that you mentioned it, I think you have to put the fire out anyway. But I will always land back on Extracted has not let anybody do anything secret yet. Every single thing that has happened has been outed. To some extent, like you cannot get a supply drop without everybody knowing it. You can't get a blanket. You can't take something from everybody without everybody knowing. You might be able to use powers without them immediately sussing out. I mean, putting the target on it and saying it was you who did it. And they didn't say that about Luke's family. They never said it was them. In the same way, they never said it was Tanisha and Michaela who used their interception, power card, right? So I think it still falls in line with the game. And honestly, I think this was the best TV.
Yeah, I think this was the best TV. I don't have any issue. I'm seeing some comments where people are saying that it breaks the game with them allowing to do this. I disagree. I don't think it breaks the game because the show did not actually enable them to do it. The show did not force them to send the message telling Roman what to do. They allow the players to play within the game in the same way that Survivor allows you to make fake immunity idols. And I would say most of the time I kind of don't love when they don't allow you to use production as a strategy. You can't have production announce a rule that doesn't exist. You can't, I don't think it would be fair. For example, I don't think it would be fair for Luke's family to go up to Lindsay's family and say, hey, production just told us that you missed it. Roman was crying or something.
Right.
I don't think that you should really be able to do, well, if you were saying, hey, while you were outside the room, Roman was asking to be extracted,
he was begging.
I actually think that's fair. I don't think it's fair, though, to say production told us in a meeting that Roman, wants to be extracted. Or so, you can't put the onus on the people with power, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, this was fun. I think this is the best TV. I think this is the best TV because it was the rug pull that I think the show narrative has been setting up this entire time. We haven't even really talked about them yet as the other victims here, but the entire season, it has been the Luke's family kind of playing this maniacal game, this kind of more calculated, conniving game. Trying to plant things on people, trying to create these alliances and then backstabbing people, taking from the weak, all the kind of things that some people don't really like. I've been looking at the comments and they're not a fan of this. Some people ride or die they're like, let's do it. Let's pull out all the stops. I'm kind of in the middle. All right, pull all those stops, but if there are consequences, you got to face them. And this really was kind of what I was talking about last week, where I thought there should be some social implications of you playing like this. And there's no jury vote or anything like that. So there had to be something to keep people from just kind of punching down at the people who can't ever amass power. That's why you and I were like Big Brother, right? Anybody can get power at any time. You don't have to be the majority to do well on Big Brother. You just got to win. If you win a challenge or whatever, it can change your fate. Whereas here, even winning a challenge wasn't helping a lot of people because they were starting to collude against each other a little bit. We were teaming up on people. And so I do think that stuff like this is the equalizer. If you do too much, you can get burned by your own actions. And I'm not even just talking about them outing this fake advantage. I'm talking about what happens next. This island twist is actually probably the craziest thing we've seen on the show so far.
Yeah. This is wild. I think we had heard sort of a rumor that this season they were going to mix up the ending to make it a lot more of a like basically trying to get people to quit, weed them down until the very end, so that it was sort of more of a survival-y kind of end. This is wild. So yeah, Doug is going to get extracted. They're going to do that. We have actually like quite a bit of content. Do you have any thoughts on like the whole how the discussion goes down once they get that message in HQ from Lindsay?
Yeah, I love this a lot.
This is interesting. This is where I will say once again, Molly and Bailey, you cannot have it both ways. You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways.
And then try to be like, no, we're not. Like the part that bothers me is it's just not consistent. I don't want to hear you telling the cameras, I'm here to play tough now. Of course I'll be in on this plan or whatever. And they weren't in on the plan to begin with. But Bailey, you were going over there scrambling the code when you thought it was real code. You were already playing really dirty. And so don't be like, I just don't want to be around the drama and leave. Like, that's the part for me where I'm like, either be consistent and be like, I cannot handle this drama. I am staying out of this. I'm good people, whatever. I don't think you're a bad person to be playing the game, but I'm saying like from your moral compass, the way that you've been expressing it, or just like own up to it.
Own it. Now I'm with you. You know me. I've been an apologist for the Molly Polly Dolly group alliance this whole time. I've been like, hey, it's okay to feel away and then change the way you're playing the game, right? You take your licks and then you evolve with the game to play it how the people who are winning the game are playing it. But yeah, you can't throw the rock and hide your hand, right? And they very much were like, we would never, like it was this energy of just wow, I can't believe you. Like we wouldn't even want to be associated with that fake clue. We weren't even aware of that. And I really wanted to rewind the tape and find out, like, were you aware of that? What did they tell you? I don't remember.
I also wrote, I don't know what this, hopefully Chappell remembers whether or not she's lying here.
You should have texted me. I would have looked.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the situation was, but I know she was not in on it from the beginning. I know that it was Doug's team and Luke's team who was in on it from the beginning, and it really seemed like it was Luke's team came up with the plan. They told Doug's team and sort of looped them in, but Luke's team did all of the planting and creating the clue and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know how much Bailey knew initially. But yeah, this is just not. I don't know. You just can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. Also, Doug's family, the way they got away with this, because Doug just like gets extracted, they don't have to deal with the blowback. Like minutes later, they're like, you know what? Honestly, let's just get him out of here. We don't have to do this anymore. I really thought that was just the craziest timing, right? Because right now it really should be Doug's family. They're complicit in this. They can try to act like, oh, well, we would have never wanted to do that and we didn't know about it. But they get called out on playing both sides. Luke's family says, you were in it with us. Now, I can't stand somebody who go down and then try to make everybody else go down with them. You didn't have to admit to that. You didn't have to admit that this was you. You should have lied. You've been playing a dastardly game this whole time.
They were smiling. They were like, yeah, it was us.
Yeah, it was us.
David and Daniel were eating that up.
Right. And then they want to take down Dougie's family too. Dougie's family didn't admit to this. You got to let them play their game. I didn't like that they tried to throw them under the bus for playing the middle, but Dayton, Alec, what are we doing? Y'all had the keys. Y'all were in a prime position to play the middle. When we talked about this, the moment you found out that they were going to do this, you were supposed to go back to Dallas and Lindsay and tell them what was going to happen. Yeah. Then you can watch all this play out exactly the same. Like exactly. Let's say they don't believe you, or let's say you said, "Listen, I think that's what they did. I don't know for sure, but we'll see." Right? This comes out, and then you've made some allies. You might even get something in reward. Like we don't know what would have happened between now and then. Maybe they would have gotten, maybe Lindsay and Dallas would have been working with them a lot better. But to kind of just like passively watch this go by and then take the L as one of the co-conspirators, essentially. You just like they fumbled this position. I really thought this was the moment where they were supposed to go and play the people who are at the bottom against Luke and Holly's team. Polly's team. And they just didn't do it. And I was upset with them in the moment because I was like, I just feel like this is a missed opportunity. But watching it again, I double feel like that. I feel like that, I don't know if that changes anything in their game long term. Like I can't go back and track what they would have or could have gotten if in a different partnership. But I really think that they could have avoided, a lot of the drama as far as being people that Dallas and Lindsay have ire for, had they just gone back and used this information to kind of galvanize everybody else against them.
Yeah, and this is so weird because we've seen the last several moves made by these teams to kind of not make any sense when it comes to like people who are supposedly working together, hindering each other in, the survival trials, or the supply drops rather. And so I don't know that it would have shook out too differently, because I don't think anything from the time that Luke's team came up with this plan to now, I don't think Doug's team missed out on any drops because of this. Right. Like if anything, they had a drop. They had the letter that Doug did not go get. So I don't think that would have changed anything. Doug's still going to want to get extracted on this day, and they're still going to extract him. I think what it does change is just sort of like, I don't know if they care at all about like optically how they were edited in these last couple episodes. But I honestly feel like for both Doug's team and the Polly Molly Bailey team, I think both of them kind of look rough in the middle here, because they did not tell Lindsay and Dallas what was going on. I would say Doug's team doesn't even look as bad. Yes, they knew about it from the start, but they basically sat back and let it all happen. Whereas Bailey like tries to make this worse and like invents her own sabotage. So I think that that's worse personally. We're going to see both of these two teams sort of apologize to Lindsay and Dallas. And basically Lindsay and Dallas come away with this being like, yeah, it was great that they apologized. We can only trust Michaela and Tanisha now at this point. And I loved Michaela and Tanisha being like, we didn't know anything about this. And at least Luke's team, Larry and I, they're like, yeah, they didn't know anything about this.
Yeah. Now Luke's team, if y'all really wanted to get into some old drama, that's when you'd be like, what are you talking about? This was your idea. Like if you lean in.
That's true villainy. That's what we're having fights.
Yeah, that's where at this point, I thought that's where we were at. I thought we were at true villainy points, but now apparently I'm tripping. Maybe am I the drama? I do like Michaela and Tanisha just being like, y'all know who did this. Stop playing with us. Like when it's because they, like I said, they don't out Luke immediately. Like the people don't say, oh yeah, it's Luke's team who did this. They say someone did this, right? And Michaela's point is like, don't piss me off. You know exactly who did this, right?
No, and but Michaela and Tanisha didn't know, did they? Did they know about?
They didn't know. They just process of elimination. Who could have come up with this? Like who among us would have come up with something like this? I don't know. Perhaps the ones who've been backstabbing all of us this whole time. Maybe it was them. They didn't have to know. It was just so painfully obvious who it was. And to that's why I'm looking at Team Holly. Team Roman. These are the people you've been trying to work with in the game.
Just so we're clear, there's no Holly.
Isn't it Dolly? Team Dolly.
There's no Dolly.
Bollywood. Team Polly. Polly. Team Polly and Molly. I'm gonna go call them Team Bailey because I keep messing this up. No disrespect. Team Bailey. Like, yeah, y'all late. Like again. you lay with the dogs, you get fleas. And now you kind of trying to separate yourself, but we see it. We already seen it. You can't separate yourself from this, especially when you was trying to make fleas of your own. That you making your own Morse code and throwing this off is not as bad as what Luke's team was doing, but it's not good. It's not good.
If that was a real clue for protection and they messed up the Morse code, that's almost worse. I don't know.
It's almost, yeah, it's up there. Again, this is not something that I'm saying don't do this because it's outside the lines of the game. I'm saying don't, if we're gonna look at this through a moral lens, it's not great.
Yeah. So it's rough. What do you think about I don't remember which one it is. One of Doug's sons like crying and being emotional in their conversation where he's like, if I have children, if I wasn't able to speak to one of my children, like they're trying to act like they didn't know what the clue was for and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, the tears fall on deaf ears for me. Just because again, it's like you're not sad that it happened. You're sad that y'all got caught.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they basically said, like, look, we were approached the day of the memory challenge when we were mad at you.
We were mad at you. Yeah, it's actually your fault that we did this. So just remember what you did to us, right? Because had you not done this to us, we wouldn't have done this to you. No, it's I don't like it. I don't like the tears because again, you didn't cry because Lindsay didn't talk to Roman, right? It's been hours since Lindsay sent that message and told Roman basically you knew what was happening. You're crying now because now you're caught and you can tell how Lindsay and Dallas feel and now you feel bad. And that's fine. People can feel guilty. I'm not trying to admonish them for feeling guilty. I'm just saying, like, let's be honest about the situation here. It's not like I would never want you to not be able to talk to your son. It's like, no, you just didn't think about her and her feelings when you did this. And now you're faced with her feelings and it's hard. He seemed like an emotional guy though. He seemed like a guy who's like really like empathetic normally, and so it didn't take much to like kind of like, all right, I didn't want to do this.
Yeah, I guess that's going out on a good note considering what's going to happen next. Day 21. We are 3 weeks in. I believe this is how long the show went last time.
Well, we're at the end of the show, maybe they might have to spend a day or so out there, but I'm pretty sure now that we've made it to the final little bit. Wait, this is episode 9. Episode 10 is probably the finale, right?
Yeah. Episode 10 is the finale. I think that I like so far what I've seen about how they handle this last couple of days. I mean, they did. I think they did last season have them like ditch all of their camps and move, but they basically just moved to another campsite. It wasn't really that different. Roman gets a message being like, hey, you can go retrieve your fire supplies, which is also hilarious considering like you're not gonna be able to use it for long. This is when Molly and Bailey fess up to knowing that they knew about the whole thing, yada yada. Okay. We get our survival state update. Luke is in yellow. He's got one match left. Polly's in yellow. RJ is in orange. Roman seems fine. I rewatched it like 3 times. At least in the version I was watching, it didn't say what his status was, but he seemed okay. Doug is in the red. Yeah, he's got nothing left to give. His body aches. His calves are burning. He misses home. He's hungry. Their run has come to an end, is what he says. So he says, nothing has changed from yesterday. I still want to be extracted. And
he's having a PSA. He's kind of looking directly in the camera at this point. I know they get us like a phone out there so they can record video and stuff. He sets up the selfie cam and just like, take me out of the game now. It's time to go. Come get me. Extract me right now. And now Dayton and Alec have no choice but to lock in and go get their dad. And I was sad because I like Dougie Fresh and I like that he wanted to be out there. You could tell he wanted to be out there. But at the same time, if you got to go, you got to go. And it seemed like a really cool story for them. They were redeeming themselves from when they had like the family business that didn't really work out. And they got to be the strong ones for their dad. It's a touching story, despite them kind of going out, in a more negative spot, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess. I feel for them. They had a tough time at it, but 5th place, day 21, nothing to sneeze at. I know the brothers were sad because they feel like they were so close to the end here, but I I don't think we know. Do they get any kind of prize money for like other placements?
I have to believe they just get a stipend and that's it. I'm sure in the comments someone could let us know. But
let us know at the very least, and if you're not sure what you can say, let us know. Besides the winner, is there any difference between other pay, like for how long you last or how many episodes you're on? Anything like that would be interesting.
We need to know this for research.
Yes. Yeah, we're just very curious how far we should push ourselves in a hypothetical season 3 situation.
I like, Mary, it's day 19. You're good.
We're fine.
We paid off the car. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, come on home.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, just let us know, or just like, and if you can't say it in the comments, send me a DM.
Yeah. We won't tell. We promise. Yeah. Lips are sealed.
Yeah, exactly. We won't let anyone know. So we get an incoming message. 4 families remain. It kind of does make me wonder, like, if Doug had held on for another 3 days, would we have just gone another 3 days before we get this message?
Nah,
like, were they waiting for the final 4? They only have so many islands.
Yeah, they would have come up with another one. Yeah, they're like, all right, and Doug, you go live in that bush over there. They came up with something. But this was very inventive, and like you said, the timing seemed convenient. It's like, okay, like, because had they got to the this point earlier, like had they got here on day 19, do they immediately like, all right, fast track the island, or do they still do the other stuff?
Right. So here's the scenario. You're gonna have 2 minutes to line up, and they say order does matter. Okay. They kind of just sort of like let Lindsay and Dallas be number 1 because they've never been number 1 before. And then I think basically
y'all just tried to F them over.
Polly's team and Luke's team just like feel bad from what they've done. So they're both just like, yeah, we're last. It's fine. And so what's going to happen is they're going to have their survivalists. They're going to be banished from their camps, and they're going to move to some islands. And when they say islands, they mean tiny. These are like a little spit of land in the middle of a pond, situation. These are small for the most part. They're going to snake draft their picks of, there's 4 boxes of supplies and there are 4 islands. Pretty quickly, everyone realizes like, hey, the islands are the way more important thing. But theoretically, the way that this is going to go is if they pick the islands first, then you will get, first best, second best, third best island. And then probably that 4th place person is just going to pick the most supplies. So all of a sudden, RJ's team's intercept card thing, power card, is wildly important. So they have held this thing on and saved it for a good moment here. They were debating last episode, should we intercept one of the like loved ones' letters? And if they had, RJ probably would not have talked about wanting to quit after not receiving anything in his box, but he is set up so much better now based on this.
Yeah, and not only is he set up better, but they get to hinder somebody else who is normally in the top spot. Mary, I know this works out for them, but I still don't agree with it. I think that obviously you should use it now, but I don't think standard practice should be saving your power card to a clutch moment like this, right? Like this is the 13th hour, right? This is as late as you can get.
But the thing is, they only got this in the 11th hour.
Right.
There was only one other opportunity for them to have used this. So you would have used it on the letter?
Well, my issue is not so much that they should have used it on the letter. It was, do you remember how close we were to extracting RJ? Like he almost got extracted without using it at all. And that's kind of where I'm like, that's why I have a little trepidation about waiting so long. Because let's say they RJ did quit at that moment, right? He's out in that field. He's like, yeah, send me. I can't, my knee hurts. I can't walk. Now you're like, man, I wish we had got him that, something else, or that's why I'm still, because I'm trying to build the rule book here, Mary, about how you win the game. I'm trying to think of like the best practices. And for me, you could have easily, like, if had Dougie had this and they were waiting until this moment, he would have got extracted just one step earlier, and I just think that like that to me, that is the biggest risk, is that you sit on something so long that it either you don't have a chance to use it because you get extracted, or you wait so long that it doesn't have any power. Because Lindsay and Roman still have a power card that I don't even know if it's going to be able to come in handy.
I don't think so. I think Lindsay and Roman kind of I don't even know when the right opportunity to have used that would have been.
They contemplate
Woman
using it in this.
got the worst one, honestly. Yeah, I mean the only time to use it would be if you could use it during a challenge like this to basically force the team to just by default get the worst items.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, that's what I'm saying. I don't really know if there was ever a really good chance for them to use it. But now, I mean, unless it's like you said, so this is the last challenge essentially. I don't know what not having eyes on your person for a blank amount of time is going to do, unless there's like maybe some tandem work that you're supposed to do between HQ and the survivalist in the final challenge, that maybe if you work together with your survivalist, it'll work out. Maybe it'll work out, right? We've seen things work out later on. I just would be concerned about amassing power and not being able to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in general, use it on a box pretty early on if you could. But considering when they got it, I think this was. I mean, it ends up coming in clutch. Like, we can't deny that. This ends up being really powerful that they have it here. So the situation is that there are 4 islands. It seems like 2 are decent. Really, the main difference, two have trees on them and are protected from the wind and have some shelter options. One, they call out that it has moss, and I think that might be because moss is easy to construct shelter with, or can you eat it? I'm not 100% sure on that one. I didn't do the scavenger hunt challenge myself, so I'm not fluent in what sort of moss you can eat or whatever. But yeah, then they're gonna have the one of the islands that is very close to the shore. So those are the best ones: the Shoal Island and the Echo Island. And then there's Desolation Island, which is far away from the shore. I think the furthest out in the water, small, exposed to the wind, but does have some trees. And then there's one that's literally, I'm going to confidently say, 10 feet by 15 feet big, that has one little tiny tree in the middle of it.
This reference is for a very specific group of people. Will follow me. SpongeBob lives in a pineapple under the sea, but sometimes he comes up to the top of the water and we see the top of the water, and there's this little tiny island that's just sitting at the top of the water, and it's got these 3 little trees on it. This island is smaller than that because it only has 1 tree. When I first saw it, I said, how did he end up at the Bikini Bottom Island? But no, that would be disrespectful to Bikini Bottom, because that island had 3 trees on it. This island has 1 tree. It's just a rock. It's not an island. It's a
like
rock.
A Charlie Brown Christmas tree too. It's not like a giant pine tree.
Right. I don't know. It's what a child would have drawn if you tell a child to draw a tree. It's like a line and some like branches and I was thinking whoever ends up on this island this is a death wish. This is a death blow for whoever it is. And I was right.
Yeah. Now they will then get to pick in reverse order from the items. The items that we have here are, we have 4 boxes. One contains nothing though. The other ones contain the best one is a canteen of water, a knife, and a match. It looks like 1 match, maybe a couple matches, but like
I think it's literally 1 match.
Yeah, which is basically nothing the way that people use these matches. And then there's just a knife and a canteen, just a canteen. So Luke's family, obviously, they get left with the worst island, so they pick, okay, great, I'll get the water, canteen, the knife, and the match, which leaves Polly with a knife and canteen, and RJ's team with just a canteen, and Roman with nothing. Now, here's how they play this. They play their intercept card and intercept Luke's supplies. Now, I misunderstood this at first, and I thought that meant that they were going to like swap supplies with Luke. But no, it means they get both supplies. So now they will get 2 canteens of water, a knife, and match to RJ. Pretty good. Luke now has the worst of the worst in both. He has no supplies, and he's on a little island. Now, I did think to myself, they could have been really nice here and given Roman the canteen of water and taken the empty supplies, knowing that they were going to intercept Luke's best. And at first I thought, yeah, do that. And then I thought, this is the end of the game. Actually, no. If you're trying to have RJ win here, this was the right move.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Lindsay kind of floats that idea as well. I get the urge to be like, we finally have an ally. We don't need to take his, leave. We don't need to leave him anything. I mean, take his things and leave him out to dry completely. We could at least get him a canteen because we got somebody we can work with. But this is the last day. I don't get none of that matters now. None of that matters now at all. Dallas said it best. Why would they do that? And it's like, yeah, why would they? They have no reason to uplift Roman, especially because everybody is concerned that Roman is the person to beat. Right. We have been talking about how Luke and Molly Luke and Polly have been the front runners here throughout, but inside of HQ, everyone thinks it's Roman, and so and honestly, the show has been giving Roman a lot of credit too. So it would be wild to then help Roman as well. I don't know if they should have taken from Luke though. I wonder if they should have just taken from I know, I guess so. I mean, because Luke's island is so bad, I don't know if anything could have saved him on that island,
So it's interesting because I think the way this goes down, taking from Luke is going to result in David and Daniel extracting Luke.
Yes.
And they do this because they think this is a non-winning game now. We are out of it. We have nothing and we have no shelter and we have a tiny little island.
Right.
Now, I'm jumping ahead a little. I think this was the wrong move for them. I think that they should have let Luke play it out because you don't know. Maybe the whole challenge here is you just have to make it through the night. And I think Luke could have toughed it out through that night. I think it would have been really rough, but I think Luke's could tough it out through that night. Luke thinks Luke could have toughed it out through that night. And if you had left Luke with any supplies, which in this case would have just been a bottle of water.
Yeah, maybe he does tough it through the night. Maybe they don't have that urge to take him out because he has something, right?
I think it seems to me like the players on the show are under the impression that this is going to be you are now on this island with this amount of supplies and you can't leave, and we're just going to see how many days you last. I don't actually think that's going to happen. I think that we're going to have another trial or some sort of challenge. Similar-ish to what we had at the end of last season. Maybe not right away. Maybe we'll have one more night on this island. But I don't know. And also, can Luke leave the island?
No.
Okay.
And he wouldn't want to either. Because if you get back out in that water, I think he's dead.
So here's what goes down. Luke gets nothing. They announce the interception. Luke's team worries that this is a fatal blow. Here's what's interesting. Luke makes a small raft to get his stuff to the island because they're allowed to take their clothing with them. And so there's a big deal with everyone who has to swim of ooh, are they going to get their clothing wet? Because then they're not going to have any way to dry it off. They're not going to have fire. So what we see is that Luke makes this small raft and then starts dismantling the raft and using that to make shelter out of it. I think Luke is still in the game here. He's locked in.
You think he's still locked in?
He had the forethought to do that. I think that the guys feel like they've lost. They probably feel like, oh my gosh, any advantage we could have potentially gained by our, trying to hinder Roman. I think they're looking at this a lot like Roman and potentially RJ are looking so good in comparison to us right now. There's no way we can survive this. If we end up seeing in the next episode that we have something similar to last season where there's some sort of challenge to end this all, I think Luke would have been competitive in that challenge. I think the real question is how much time on these little islands are they going to have to spend before something like that happens?
I don't know. Because I don't think the guys would take out Luke if he was completely locked in. I know he says I'm not ready to go, but I don't know. They're watching him, right? They're not. It's not just they're just oh, well, we lost. Let's just throw our hands up and go.
He doesn't ask to leave.
He doesn't. But they also see him out there in his shorts talking about how cold he is, and he's basically out there in his underwear with a jacket on, getting beat up by the wind. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't look at me. I'm fine.
Do you think that if Luke was saying to the camera, oh, yeah, what an exciting challenge. This is going to be tough, but I got this. Do you think that if he was saying stuff like that they would have left him out there? Or do you think that they truly were? Because part of me was just thinking that it seemed to me like they were we're over and done with, just knowing. Because Luke doesn't know what other, islands the other people have and what supplies they have. But
I think if his attitude is better, then they keep him out there. But he's like face palm, like in the fetal position, basically, just on the island, like, so although he's not saying out loud, I'm not going to make it, they're watching him just decline. And I think they just make the executive decision that, yes, Luke probably can stay out there all night, but at what cost? It's kind of like the same thing with
he's not gonna die.
I mean, but it's like the same thing with Katie and her infected gums.
It's very like, similar to that.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is that Katie and her gums was on day 16, 17, whereas this is day 21. I don't know. I think that this is a lesson for people, if you're going to go on the show, to say like, your team might extract you if you're just seeming kind of bummed, unless you've got a team like Sandra who's going to refuse to extract you. You need to show that you're locked in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. It's not like he's seeming kind of bummed. The man is like, I'm fine. I promise I'm fine. Like, it's like he has nothing. It was like, I don't know. I'm gonna make it. It's like, hey man, look, and then that's the other thing. They look at each other and say, well, we don't want to go out like Dougie, right? Like Dougie's in there like, please come get me. He's like, we don't want to be those guys. Because remember, in our world, Mary, they turn the volume up when these people start whimpering. They turn that up. And so now everybody's like, damn, y'all really just gonna leave Luke out there? It's like, he's fine. It's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, maybe he's not fine. Maybe we look like awful people because we're forcing him to stay out there with no shelter, no tree, just his underwear that are probably wet, no matches, no canteen. He can't drink water. What do they think he's going to do for the next 12 or 24 hours, Mary? I know you said you think he can stick it out, but is it just sit there and starve to death with no water?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess for me is like one of the worst nights of my life, I slept with nothing below me, nothing above me, just shorts and a t-shirt or tank top, slept on like a turf field, like in the middle of a football field kind of situation, just all night. I slept that way. I was freezing. I was uncomfortable, but I did that.
Mary, what the hell was happening?
It was a Relay for Life thing. And then, I don't know, I was in high school. It was a whole thing. Look, it's
just neither here nor there. Mary, did you have water?
I mean, I wasn't drinking it when I was asleep, but like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I had water. I wasn't gonna die, but like, I guess I'm just saying you can have one uncomfortable sleep. I'm just curious to see if we start next episode and it's like, this is the final day. Here's your challenge. I think that this was a mistake to have taken Luke out. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. No, that's fair decision there. Yeah, I think for them, if they are under the impression that he has to spend the night out there, I think this is the only choice you can make, because it looks like it's daytime when they get out there, right? So assume for the next 12 hours, he has to sit there in that cold, wet, no water, no food, no shelter, no fire, including through the night. I personally think that they just looked at the writing on the wall and was like, he's whimpering, he's slowly withering away. We have to do something here, or we're gonna look like we're just letting him like just be tortured out there. A grand opening, grand closing, Mary. It started off so good for them, right? We watched this whole season through the eyes of this aggressive gameplay, and some might call it karma. But what do you think about this as a story arc?
I would say as a story arc, I think I wish that we had a little bit more from Luke. Like, I don't know how they do it, but I wish that we had more from the Survivalist. And I think the only way to do that is have the Survivalist interact more, have more happening with the Survivalist, because Luke really, like, sometimes we say people by names, sometimes we just say Luke's team because it's easier, but like, this was the Daniel and David show. Like, Luke was there facilitating them to go off the rails and try new things. I personally, as a lover of games, will love the hardcore and innovative strategy that they came up with. Were they playing the best social game? No, but this also isn't really a game where social game matters the most. Like, it clearly matters a little bit here at the end because they got intercepted, but also, like, if Polly's team had been in that spot and had gotten the most supplies, I think they would have been the ones intercepted. I don't think that RJ's team was going after Luke because it was Luke. I think they were going after Luke because he had the most supplies.
Yeah, no, good point. Because that's what I was saying. I thought my first instinct was, should they have just taken this from Polly's team, right? Because leaving Luke out there with a fire and water and a knife on that little tiny island, he probably still doesn't make it. But I think from the inside out, from the HQ point of view, maybe they feel more comfortable. Maybe he does, right? But this is your opportunity. Like, I think you could. Basically what I think is Polly is in a good spot, regardless, right? She does get a canteen and a knife, and she's not on the worst island either. So now you have to deal with her. I was wondering if there was a way you could maximize the target by maybe putting, knowing that they were on the worst island, trying to kind of do an equalizer by taking away from Polly as well.
Maybe, but I think you're gonna do better by just like really targeting one team and hope that they get extracted more than like gently trying to target two and hope that they get extracted. So
no, I agree. It was just my initial instinct was like, should they just? But nah, you're right. This is the right move, and like I said, I don't know if it informs gameplay in the future, right? Do you not play hard in the future, or do you just come in and play hard and just hope you don't end up in this spot again? Because had they not been the front runners, they probably wouldn't have been in the spot to get the worst island anyway.
I mean,
what do you think?
It's so tricky.
Right. What's the strategy here? Do you come in and do what was this? Did they have good strategy throughout the season? If you had to just like yes or no, good or bad, what was their gameplay?
They were great TV.
They were great TV. They were great TV.
I mean, I do think actually the best strategy is remain civil at HQ, make alliances so you've got some people who have your back. Don't do anything too shady. Don't be you want to be oh, what's her name? Queen of HQ from last season.
Oh, Abby. Was our girl Abby?
Abby. You want to be mixing and mingling. You want to be there. You want to be in on all the plans. You want to be doing prayers at the rock or whatever they were doing. Affirmations or whatever it was. Like you want to be doing that. You want to be in with the people, but you don't want to be scheming. I think you don't want to do anything that's going to make it look like you have a target on your back. And especially if you're in a situation like Luke's team where Luke is doing well, you don't want to highlight that. Right. I mean, we saw Lindsay and Dallas get targeted because Roman is doing so well. So sometimes you're just going to get targeted because your survivalist is doing really well. I don't think you want to be in this situation where Amy's team was or RJ's team was, though, where you have no allies. I don't think that's good either. I think like you want to be in an alliance, but you don't want your alliance to do anything shady. I think that's the thing. And I think I agree with what you were saying is always, though, try to stand up for your survivalist and, not at the expense of hurting yourself, but you can't be so passive like we saw Skylar and Trung did it this season. Famously, Ryan H's parents did it his season. You cannot just like fade into the background and get handed the worst stuff every time. Yeah,
nope, totally agree. Yeah, because there are things that you can do in the game to hurt other players that are well within the game. I think this, when Michaela does her interception, I can't remember which one of Luke's brothers says, "Oh, good game move," and she's kind of like, "Ha ha ha," because there's a difference between what she did, which is find a power card that was available to everybody and use a game mechanism to play the game. Who could fault you for doing that? Whereas you're creating fake advantages and Morse code and all this kind of stuff to target somebody specifically that's outside of the game, mechanisms. It does feel personal, and it does feel targeted, and it feels like it's not really fair. And so, not to say that anybody said this game was going to be fair, but that's the difference in perception, right? Like that thing looks worse because it felt like you didn't have to do that. Whereas this thing feels like, no, you were given this opportunity by the game to do something with it, and no one's going to fault you for using a power for yourself to help your person.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. That being said, as a viewer, please keep doing big moves.
Do more things.
I do want to keep seeing it, though.
Do more things.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't one of those seasons of television that is so divisive in the gameplay that the pendulum swings in the other way, and then next season people are like honor and integrity, and we never want to do anything like that again because this is way more fun.
I think this is more fun. I think it's more entertaining. I will say, based on the comments that I've seen just strictly on our YouTube channel, it does feel like most people are on the side of make it more survival-y, have nicer, situations, which I think is fine if that's the show and that's what they want. But I'd be curious to see. Like, I think this season is much more entertaining than last season. That's just me. But I also think that some of the things the game has done have improved that. Like, I think the game came in and said, we're going to do from the jump more situations where people need to be ranking each other and backstabbing each other, like, as part of the game. And I really appreciate that. They added these power cards. Like, they did that. It just so happens the cast also went ham with those decisions as well. But
yeah.
Anyway, couple other things to say about people. So let's go through and chat about them here. RJ has the best island. He was the only one who, it was a pretty funny moment where he just like walks across. He's like, oh, I got to take this big leap. And it was like a 2-foot wide step that he stepped across onto his island. His island's practically connected to the shore. So he's the only one who didn't have to get wet. He's got plenty of trees and shelter. He doesn't really seem to like make a shelter like I don't know, at least Roman tries. But he's happy with his island, happy with all his supplies. So really nothing more they could have done. He's set up pretty well for the end game here.
I'm so proud of him. And just from a standpoint of, we've always had him kind of lower in our rankings because we knew he was injured and he hasn't been getting a lot of stuff. And if the game is how long can you just last, he's done such a good job with limited resources, and I think he should be very proud of himself.
I agree. Definitely probably, you know what? I'll just say it. I'm rooting for him to win. So that's
okay.
I'm gonna put my voice behind RJ here. I'd be happy with them. But
it'd be such a feel good win too.
I just also love a lot of Michaela and Tanisha's moments throughout.
They're so good. They're so good.
I really appreciate them. When it comes to Roman, Dallas, and Lindsay here, they get the second best island. Roman does swim over, so he has to do that, but he is pretty smart to like not get any of his stuff wet when he swims over, so that's nice. And he does immediately start like building a shelter. So definitely the most kind of like actively outdoorsy of all of them. Also of the final 3 for sure, but probably also the final 4 left. Roman is the youngest out of them, so he has no supplies, but considering he has no supplies, he seems to be in relatively high spirits here.
Yeah, I can't speak higher enough about this man's resilience. He gets knocked down, he gets back up, and he keeps surprising people. Him swimming to that water, he was a person who had the best idea about how to keep his stuff from getting wet. We saw Luke kind of struggle with that a little bit. So yeah, Roman's he's a rock star. He's a superstar in the game. I think a lot of people are rooting for Roman as well. Dallas and Lindsay are a very fun pair in this episode. Just watching how these people have been coming after Roman, and how Lindsay has been taking some of these hits from these people. We saw Dallas being like, you know what? Honestly, I gotta lock in. with my mom here because it's all we got. Right? We might be aligned with RJ's team, but at the end of the day, they're gonna choose themselves. And at this point in the game, we got to choose us too, and we got to look out for Roman so that he can win this game. He's got such a good spirit about him, so I'm excited to see what happens, and I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up winning.
I agree. I think especially if there's any sort of physical race or challenge at the end, I think he's probably the odds-on favorite then.
Yeah.
All right, then we've got Team Polly, Molly, and Bailey. I will say probably the most divisive of these 3 teams in terms of like here's what I'll say. You guys have been great TV. Also, Molly and Bailey, Polly, if any of you are in the comments, I don't dislike you. I just appreciate consistency in my reality TV players, but that's just saying like I've been enjoying watching you. I'm critiquing you as a character, not as a person. As people, I'm sure you're lovely. They have a tough situation here at the end. They've got the second worst island. Polly had to swim all the way there. She basically carried her stuff. She's lucky not all of it got soaking wet. She has water and a knife, but that's it. And I mean, her island has a couple more trees than Luke's did, but not many.
Yeah, and I think even socially in HQ, they haven't done a good job because now it very much feels like they're on the outs of these 3 teams, right? Like RJ's team and Roman's team, they've now just realized like, okay, these other people have been playing a little dastardly, and so we can't really work with them. Not that anybody should be working with each other like a ton, but if there is any type of way to collaborate and help each other out, I don't think anybody's helping Molly and Bailey just because of their connection to the shenanigans Luke's team was pulling. So it's not great.
Yeah, and I'm sure a decent amount of it is editing, because here's what I will say. As humans, like sometimes you make a decision and you go, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna game hard. And then you game hard and you go, actually just
I'm
kidding.
good.
I want to game out. I don't want to game hard anymore. I would like to stay out of the drama. And I understand that. I think it's, it's way easier to do something, whether it be under peer pressure or even of your own accord, like that's kind of sneaky, and then it's much harder to face the music. So I completely understand that as people. But yeah, if you're I would just say from a reality TV standpoint, if your thing is going to be honor, integrity, playing nice, not getting personal, the second you shelve that and do anything that could be seen as not following that, it's going to be hard to get back on board, I guess.
Yes, but I will say this: Polly's a rock star too. She's Polly's a badass. Watching her, in her early struggles that she was having, and then kind of like emerge as one of the front runners. The episode did a really cool thing, which I knew they were going to take their shelters away because they kind of highlighted all their shelters. Mm-hmm. And when they get to Polly's shelter, it has like a porch.
She's like sweeping it. She's got the whole area clean. Oh yeah.
Singing with the birds. She's living her best life out there. So, I wouldn't be mad to see any of these teams win. And I definitely wouldn't be shocked to see Polly take this one, because she has been thugging it out there. She's been playing the game hard. I cannot say that RJ's team and Dallas's team has been playing. I mean, Roman's team has been playing as hard as Molly and Bailey. They've done a lot. There were definitely times where they were taking L's, but they were dishing them out too. They were making alliances. They were playing cutthroat. So yeah, I think there's 3 different types of winners you could get here, but all 3 of them would be worthy. It's just going to be a matter of who takes the crown, Mary.
We shall see. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to depend on how the structure of the show works at the end. But all 3 of these people have been quite impressive in their own ways. Luke obviously extracted here, day 21. We'll see. I think I'm going to have to wait to the finale to decide whether or not this was the right decision or not, honestly. And then Doug also extracted at the end here. Do we want to go ahead and tier list the final 3?
Yes. Well, one thing you should know about me is I do not play fancy 10 with the tiers. I don't like, oh yeah, we're all in the top tier, blah, blah. Mary, this is the last time we have to rank these people. Who do you think is going to come in first, second, and third place? All the rest of this stuff don't even matter.
All right, here's I feel very confident. I think Roman has got this.
You think Roman's got this?
I think Roman, while he doesn't have any supplies right now, I think he is really outdoorsy, and we've shown that with no supplies he can still get food, shelter, etc. I think that he is, if there is any physical element at all, I think he's got this. And stretch here, and I think that he's the only one who started building shelter. I think that there is a non-zero chance that Polly does not make it through the night. So I'm putting her in third place, and I'm putting Roman or RJ in second.
All right, and just to be just to be different, because I don't want us to have the same exact prediction, I will switch these 2.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I think that RJ could be our dark horse winner here. It would be such a fun story, I think, for any of these 3 to win. But I would love to see the RJ kind of hero storyline at the end. We got his backstory, his motivation. We haven't really gotten that from Roman yet, and so maybe that's why I'm not as connected to his story. But man, it would be such a cool storyline and finish for RJ to take it all. But yeah, that's my predictions. Mary, we're there. We're at the finale.
We're at the finale. There's a lot of ways this could go at the end here. I'm very excited to see the next episode. I'm most excited. I've been the most excited from the beginning of this show to see how the finale may or may not have changed from last season. I think that was the biggest qualm I had with last season was how the finale went down. And so I was like, if they're going to do a season 2, they got to make some changes. So curious to see how this goes. Maybe they'll just have to do a like another five letter word situation.
Oh, a puzzle again, like that. Yeah, a little a code or whatever. I don't know. Can that be a standard ending for any reality show? Because at what point are we not just going to have code names built into our strategy going in?
Should be already. If you've seen season 1, you should have a code name, and if you don't,
I want to see the code name come back because I want to see people punished for not doing their research. But at the same time, it cannot be the only thing, right? Like, it can come back, but there needs to be another element to make it still competitive, right? Like, you need the code name, but then you have to do something else to kind of show the camaraderie between you and the HQ people. So I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll be here to talk about it.
We will. All right. Until next time, I have been Mary, and you can follow me everywhere at Frail Mary. And hope everyone is excited for the finale and gets ready to talk to us about all of it. If you were on this season and you're under any sort of NDAs or restrictions, then let us know when that's up, because I'd love to hear more. DM me. Chappell, where can everyone follow you?
Recapkickback.com. If you're on a YouTube page, you can see it right here next to my name. That's my website where my podcast lives. Or you can catch me on my YouTube page, youtube.com/@recapkickback. I'll be talking about stuff. Come check me out. And follow and keep up with Mary and myself, and get RHAP.com to subscribe to this podcast so you can hear it on the go. And then come holler at us next week, I guess.
All right. Excited. Until next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.